Hey, Friendo, Steve here.
Hey, Larson.
And welcome back to Steve and Larson's Pro Wrestling Podcast, ruining pro wrestling podcasting since 2014. On today's episode, we've got your Smackdown review from this past Friday. But more importantly, oh boy, WWE and TKO seems intent on shedding positive fan sentiment for their companies, Larson. Oh, man. Yeah. So, R-Truth, his contract, fresh off of main eventing a Saturday night's main event, one of the most, arguably the most beloved character in WWE since 2008, since his arrival in 2008. His contract is not going to be picked up by WWE as announced by the man himself, Ron Killings, R-Truth. Larson, what's going on here?
Yeah, so he took on John Cena, the most recent Saturday night's main event, and announced over the weekend that, his contract was not being renewed and thus being let go by WWE, tweeting, quote, "I'm sorry to inform you all that I just got released from WWE. I want to thank WWE for the ride, but mostly I want to thank each and every one of you who was along for the ride. Thank you for all the love, support, and appreciation you have given me over the years. Thank you." So, shortly thereafter, Fightful Sean Ross Sapp was able to confirm that Truth's time with WWE is nearing an end, reporting that he'd be leaving the company when his current deal expires, as WWE is choosing not to renew his contract. There was more on Fightful Select, stating that many talents, as well as Truth himself, were, quote, confused by the move, with one talent describing it as total nonsense, while another described those currently running WWE as ruthless. Fightful Select added that Truth's departure is, quote, by far the most criticized and universally disliked departure they've reported on. PW Insider had more Backstage reaction, with sources telling them that Truth was, quote, extremely popular across the board in the locker room. The site also noted that many talents felt unsettled by Truth's departure, with one talent mentioning that they felt that, quote, nothing was guaranteed in WWE, while another talent told PW Insider that in light of Truth being let go, they want to make sure that their next contract was secured, quote, well in advance. So there's another departure to talk about, but let's talk about R-Truth here. Seemingly universally loved.
Yeah.
Backstage, in front of the camera. He's a veteran. I think he's 53.
Yeah.
But he's on TV all the time. He's a versatile performer. I believe his PW Insider report saying you put him in any segment and he makes the segment better.
Yeah.
You know, and he seems to be a great locker room presence.
Yeah.
This is one of those decisions that's, putting it mildly, head-scratching from WWE's perspective, as a fan looking at the product. I mean, you can make, I guess, if you want to look at it from their perspective, it seems like over the last couple of years, there's a lot of veteran talent that they've let go or chosen not to re-sign. Maybe they're trying to have the average age of the talent be younger and building more for their future. But that being said, you got someone like R-Truth that's got a wealth of experience. I'm sure he can impart on younger talent.
This one is difficult to put into words because everything you said is true. And if it was anybody else who's been used, I mean, I think I saw on Twitter that he has wrestled between 44 and 50 matches or something last year, which is not too far off from much of the roster there. With him, it's a bit deeper. If it was anybody, like, for example, Braun Strowman, when he was released, I was kind of surprised by that simply because he had actually been used fairly effectively recently, but also, you know, in terms of how long he had been around, coupled with, you know, you see the guy move around. It's like, okay, they have a couple of monsters that they can now rely on, like Bronson Reed. So I can kind of understand that. There's a variety, you know, in the last batch of releases, it's very unfortunate, but it's not, I wasn't really confused by most of them. This is like, he's part of the tapestry of the story that they're telling, as Triple H likes to say, the never-ending story that they're telling. And it's not like he's pivotal to any story, to any one storyline, but it's like firing your mascot. Like, They literally use this guy in the most recent main event storyline to be the personification of all that is good in John Cena, the ultimate good guy, who's now battling his own demons. They literally used him because they understood there is nobody more loved than this guy.
Yep.
Regardless of, does he show up once a week for one silly backstage thing? Is he there once every several weeks during, months at a time, and you barely see the guy, or you don't see him wrestle that much on television? He is uniquely suited to enhance the flavor, if you will, of your narrative. And look, is this, in all honesty, is this going to be a game-changing decision, like if Roman Reigns went to New Japan or something silly like that? Is this going to be a sea change? No, but it's as if the King's fired Slamson.
Yeah.
In several ways, I view him as kind of a mascot of goodwill for the company. It's insane.
It is. Again, I believe it was a PW Insider report mentioned that people backstage were surprised that if they're not going to re-sign him to a full-time performer deal, a deal comparable to Titus O'Neil, where he's employed as an ambassador for the company or something like that, because he is so beloved by the audience, so beloved backstage. That's a presence you want in front of and behind the camera, and not to say this is necessarily like a canary in the coal mine situation for talent, but if the perception backstage was, truth, he's going to be here as long as he wants to, it's like there's a spot for him here. He's, I think in it was the PW Star, maybe it was a 501. Like the perception was he was going to be in WWE for life,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He was so imbued in the fabric of the company. There's no way he'd ever go anywhere else.
Yeah. Yeah.
And now that it's happening, there's all of these, comments from talents like, it's unsettling. This current
like
regime is ruthless.
Yeah. I mean, they're cheap bastards. It's like they're $3 billion in debt or something like that. They're just TKO Endeavor, just, obviously over the years, fumbling around like clowns, not knowing where to put their money or how to bundle their various operations. Mm-hmm. They got, professional bull riding airing on WWE's channel. It is. I don't know. Their business is what it is, and they're a business. They're going to do what they're going to do. And, the fact of the matter is, as long as Triple H is able to concoct big time storylines, Cena turning heel, who knows what the 2026 big story is going to be. I don't think that R-Truth's absence necessarily is going to lead to a significant decline in attendance, but you can't help wonder if they're, pro wrestling, it goes in cycles,
Cyclical. Yeah.
It's cyclical. I was going to say secular. Thank you. Cyclical. Jesus. It goes in cycles. It's cyclical. And as we've seen with AEW, I personally don't think that AEW ever has a chance at beating WWE as a business. That being said, the only way that'll ever happen is if WWE tanks itself, which isn't impossible. We've seen it happen before.
Yeah.
But these days they've got such a vast amount of money, but it's like, you start nickel and diming. You start nickel and diming everything because you got your company $3 trillion in debt or whatever it is. I mean, is it going to be a death of the 1,000 cuts over the next 10 years? Probably not, but
probably not. You never know.
I don't know. You start chipping away. You start chipping away at like I said earlier, like the flavor of your narrative. It doesn't make the product better. And if it doesn't make the product better, what is it making the product worse? So, I don't know. All it's going to take for Triple H is just a couple of massive turd A stories. And then we'll see where the company's at.
Yep.
Because everything else, they're just sort of like diminishing the goodwill of a certain segment of the fan base anyways. I mean, you know, I wouldn't bring my kid to a wrestling show because I'm usually sat next to some jackass who's yelling weird shit because wrestling fans can be fucking weird. That being said, a lot of people do bring their kids to these shows, and R-Truth is like, that's the dude for the kids. You know, who's going to be the dude for the kids now?
I know.
You know, 50-year-old CM Punk?
Probably not.
Probably not, you know?
Probably not.
So I don't know, man. It's one of those things where it's like, come on, man. Can we stop being tacky here? Do you even need Evolve? Can you just get rid of that thing?
I mean, how many layers to NXT do you need?
I know, right? Like, I don't know who this Shawn Legacy guy is. I don't know. I was kind of impressed with those swipe right guys when they were in the ring, but like, so bring them into normal NXT. You know, I don't know, man. It's so tacky. And it's like, really? R-Truth?
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Like, if there's anybody who has made the case for them to stay there as long as they want to, it's R-Truth.
Yep. Yeah.
So I don't know, man. It's just you kick one carny out, you bring on more carnies, I guess is the point.
Apparently, here. I don't know, but yeah, you know, and it's not very often where someone's departure from the company is announced and basically everybody comments on it.
Mm-hmm.
And that is the case with R-Truth.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, Road Dogg said he was heartbroken that Truth was being let go.
Yeah.
You know, and Kevin Owens and Rhea Ripley and so many others.
Oh, there's a ton of them.
Yeah. You know, commented on it. So he was beloved. Mm-hmm. Absolutely beloved.
Yeah.
And those veterans who can provide that measure of leadership backstage, you got to have those people around.
I agree. You would think that'd be the case, but even from our perspective, people who aren't there, even from sitting back and watching the show, it's like there's something so intangible and joyful about what he adds when he does pop up.
Yep.
Dude, you just saw on Smackdown, Solo Sikoa trying his damnedest, just trying to not flex those smile muscles because immediately R-Truth was breaking him down.
Yep.
And it's like, that's the kind of stuff that you need. That just adds. It adds, and it's such you don't really realize it until something like this happens, and it's gone all of a sudden.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't know, you know, and I don't even know. I'm sure this is a Nick Khan in collaboration with Triple H and some dudes up high. I don't know. You'd think that Triple H is smart enough to fight a move like this and be like, hey, like, you know, you can get rid of any of these yokels here, but this guy, you can't get rid of this guy.
You'd think so, unless the philosophy is we need to get the roster younger.
I mean, I think the philosophy is we need, because look, I'm sure R-Truth is probably making a pretty chunk of change. He's been there since 2008, and you know how they pay those dudes.
Money. Yeah.
But you know, if it's a matter of hey, we need to trim down, you know, the budget on the roster. Well, who doesn't really get used that much? I mean, sadly, this seems to be a case of like, well, he just main evented against Cena. We got everything out of him that we need that we can use.
It's lame.
It's so lame. And you know, man, I'm not even like the biggest like rah anti-cat. I don't care. Like, you put the ads on the mat. Like, what, you telling me that the Morgan & Morgan bullshit can't pay for R-Truth's salary? Like, you inundate us all these ads. You give us commercial break after commercial break after commercial break. You sit there on Netflix sucking every executive's dick in the intro. Like, fucking A, dude. You can't spend some of that Netflix dick sucking money on R-Truth.
Exactly. Yeah.
Get out of here with that shit, man.
Yeah, I know.
I don't know. You know, you get out of one podunk situation, land in another podunk situation.
Yep.
You know, at least if you sold to the Saudis, they have all the money in the world. They could have paid for R-Truth. Those dudes know they're wrestling. They probably love R-Truth.
It could be.
Oh, man. I don't know.
R-Truth isn't the only WWE talent who isn't having his contract renewed. PW Insider reports that Carlito will be leaving as well as soon as his contract expires. No date when that's going to be. It's not like Carlito. Carlito isn't obviously as imbued in the fabric of WWE as R-Truth. He had his run, the mid-aughts, left for a while, just came back fairly recently.
Yeah.
He's the comic relief of Judgment Day. He's used sparingly in the ring. Usually he's out there to interfere and take bumps, take spears from Braun Breaker, and to crack a few jokes backstage. That's the extent of it. It's a bummer that they're not renewing his deal because, again, he provides some element on TV that not many other performers are in the position to do in terms of providing that comic relief.
Yeah, dude. I mean, it's in some ways it's not unlike R-Truth, where he just adds, and again, I'll use that term. They add a little bit more flavor to the company, to what's going on, and it's like, yeah, you think of those Judgment Day, the most recent Judgment Day segments where they're backstage. He always has a one-liner. He's always got that little quip. He's always the guy who's giving Dom little comedic bits of advice on how to navigate, the whole Liv situation now with Roxanne in the mix. And it's just, you lose that and you lose a little bit of the spark, and again, it's that sort of intangible thing where it's like this whole narrative that they're presenting to us is one living, breathing thing that has a lot of moving pieces, and the more moving pieces, the more interesting it is. It's like, going back, this is the nerdiest reference possible, but you'll get it. Watching Star Trek Next Generation, a couple seasons, you got Colm Meaney's O'Brien, Miles O'Brien.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, this dude had a couple lines every other episode, but it's like, hey, he's part of this wider world. Then what happens? He lands a plush, starring role on Deep Space Nine. That's how popular that minor character was. And if you would have had him as just another nameless, dude sitting there at the transporter room, and it's like, oh, I don't care about this person. But you give O'Brien a couple bits here and there, give him a family, people start caring about the guy. He's just a bit player. And so it's that kind of stuff that just adds to the tapestry of the story that you're telling. And you need that kind of, it doesn't matter any kind of shit. Like you and I do, one of our favorite movies, Boogie Nights, that we've seen many, many times. That little bit where, and it's just a throwaway scene where, who is it? Floyd Gondoli is in the room, and that chick is overdosing, and that guy says, "Oh, not again, man." He says, "How about you get some new shit?"
Week. Yeah, third
time this week. Well, that dude added a lot of flavor to that particular setting, to the whole feel of what was going on at that party. And you get rid of that scene, and you don't lose the movie, but you lose some of that flavor,
Yeah.
I don't know, another weird example, but it's just, dude, you're just ripping away bit by bit, little bit by little bit at the foundation. Mm-hmm. So, anyways, it's a drag. It's a drag.
It is.
I'll miss Carlito, man. I liked Carlito when he first showed up, way back in the day. You got to be cool guy. And then when he came back, I was like, oh, what are they going to do with him? But then you see all those little quips, and it's like, oh, man, he adds in a very low key way. He adds a lot. So, again, nickel and dime that shit. Go ahead, I guess. Anyways, we got a couple sponsors for the show today, Larson. I'll cool down here so we can talk about our sponsors today.
All right. This episode of Going in Raw is sponsored by BetterHelp. Hey, guys, it's okay to struggle. 6 million men suffer from depression every year, and it often goes undiagnosed. But real strength comes from opening up about what you're carrying, and that's something I found out when I was dealing with severe anxiety in my mid-20s. After years of carrying the weight of that anxiety, I realized I had to do something about it and started seeing a therapist who taught me the skills I needed to better cope with my anxiety.
And with over 35,000 therapists, BetterHelp is the world's largest online therapy platform, having served over 5 million people globally. BetterHelp is also making therapy far more convenient. You can join a session with a therapist with a click of a button, so you can fit therapy into your busy schedule, and you can switch therapists at any time.
As the largest online therapy provider in the world, BetterHelp can provide access to mental health professionals with a diverse variety of expertise. Talk it out with BetterHelp. Our listeners get 10% off their first month at BetterHelp.com BetterHelp.com/raw. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/raw.
And this episode of Going in Raw is brought to you by Cash App. Larson, I'll be honest with you.
Why?
Sometimes being a stepdad is about being the dad that steps up. The other day, my oldest stepkid, Marissa, was over here visiting, and she happened to mention she was low on gas, but wasn't going to get paid until the next day.
So she asked the old man for some money, huh?
Yeah, man, times can be tough for young adults these days, so I was like, here, kiddo, let me give you $50 so you can get a tank.
That was very nice of you, I gotta say.
I know, right? Like, I'm great. So I pulled out my checkbook, and I started writing a check, and she was like, the heck am I going to do with that, old man?
The checkbook, you say?
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, she's got a point.
Yeah. So she was like, hey, just Cash App me, man. And I was like, oh, yeah, that makes more sense because Cash App is a safe, easy, and fast way to send, receive, and transfer money to family and friends. It's also easy to get started. You just enter your phone or email and some other basic information. No bank account needed.
But did the money get to her quicker than the check you were about to write her?
Of course it did. It was there super fast, and it's secure and safe. Like if you're about to send money to a sketchy account, a scam warning pops up.
All right, I'm downloading it now so you can finally pay me back for all those chicken sandwiches I bought you during Double or Nothing. I counted 5.
Yeah, let me write you a check instead.
What?
How about that? No, man, I'm joking. But since you're a new Cash App user, check this out. For a limited time only, new Cash App users can use our exclusive code to earn some additional cash. That's for real, no catch. Just download Cash App and sign up. Use our exclusive referral code GOINGRAW in your profile. Send $5 to a friend within 14 days, and you'll get $10 dropped right into your account. Terms apply. That's money. That's Cash App. So, aside from these releases here, we also had a Smackdown, of course, on Friday. Thought it was another solid episode of Smackdown. Again, I think that some of the, number one, you got these Money in the Bank qualifiers. At least one surprising outcome on the men's side of things, and a very welcome outcome on the women's side of things.
Yeah.
Of course, Andrade picked up the win over Carmelo Hayes and Jacob Fatu. Mm-hmm. As we kind of figured, Solo had a plan for Jacob, which Jacob didn't want, and Miz had a plan for Andrade, which didn't work. And so the guy who is not burdened by partners trying to give him unsolicited advice, he's the guy that came out on top. He was in the Money in the Bank last year.
Yeah.
This is the dude that makes all the matches better. Are you surprised by that outcome?
In terms of having someone in the match, as you mentioned, who makes any match he's in better, no. But then again, that could be said about Carmelo and Jacob Fatu.
None of these were bad options for that.
From that viewpoint, yeah. You look at the lineup, though. I know Punk's got a qualifier tonight. It's him and, oh gosh, I just read it too.
Oh, crap. Who is it? I didn't see that.
El Grande Americano and AJ.
Chad Gable gets 2 shots.
Yeah.
That's kind of funny.
But, you got AJ and Punk and Chad Gable in the ring. That match is going to be really good.
It is, yeah. It is.
But when Punk wins that, you're like, all right, Seth or Punk, that's it. In terms of people in the field who you think have a legitimate shot at winning. And while, if Jacob Fatu was in the match, per se, it's not like, well, he's U.S. champion. It's not like he's going to win the briefcase. It's not unheard of. There's precedent for a mid-card champ to win the briefcase. Happened at least a couple times. Mm-hmm. It doesn't seem as likely as Punk or Seth, but way more likely than half the people in the match already.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it just seems like the distribution of power ranking within WWE in that match. There's Seth and Punk, a huge gulf, and then the rest of the field.
Even if
and it feels like there should be a bit more. It isn't necessarily be more star-studded, but at least if Andrade had an interesting story coming into this, I'd be like, all right, cool. Andrade's got a story leading into this, but he doesn't.
So no, I feel that it's let's say Seth interferes tonight and Punk doesn't win.
All right, so AJ gets in.
Then you're just down to Seth.
I know.
Okay. We can eliminate a couple names outright, but okay, Andrade, obviously you can eliminate him from winning. like 1,000%, right? He's probably going to be the plus 5,000. Solo.
Penta's not winning.
Okay, Penta's my like plus 2,000, not a plus 5,000.
No, but he's not winning.
Solo's like a plus 4,000. I'm just throwing out these Vegas numbers. Solo's a little bit higher than Andrade.
Yeah, I'd say he's comparable to Penta in terms of.
Here's the difference, though. The world title. I know Seth has his eyes on it, and that kind of locks it up.
Yeah.
Jay has it now, and that kind of locks it up.
Then there's the match on June 9th.
And there's the match on June 9th.
One day after Money in the Bank. I mean, it's just like...
I'll put it this way. If LA Knight was on Raw, and I know that you can go cross-brand, they generally don't these days. They generally stick to their brands for the cash-ins. If LA Knight was on Raw, I could see him being able to mix it up in that, because that world title scene, it's still not on the level of Cena, Rhodes, Roman. It's not on that level. It's Seth Punk, which if they take each other out of the equation for a while, then you could see an LA Knight maybe cashing in on Gunther if he won it on June 9th. You know, like a good guy cashing in on a bad guy.
Or cashing it in, making a triple threat towards the end. Yeah.
Right. I don't think it's likely. I'm just saying, like, LA Knight on Raw, on a different brand on Raw. He's done it. This is his third year, I think. Everybody wanted him for the first 2 years, and maybe they would go with that because it would get a huge pop. It would get a massive pop.
It would get a pop, but it wouldn't be the same pop as it would have gotten a year or two ago.
And what they could do, and I don't think they're going to do this, but hey, let me ask you this.
Sure.
Did you see the reports about, I think it was probably WrestleVotes, I don't know, about Triple H not liking Money in the Bank? What's your take on that?
I didn't really feel like Vince liked it either.
You know what's funny is that, like, and I don't know if they expanded on it or not, but I kind of get it because it's. Go ahead.
The verbiage they use is interesting because they said Triple H doesn't like the prop of Money in the Bank, so it's not. You can interpret that as, oh, he doesn't like the mechanic of Money in the Bank, as in the cash-in stuff, or he just doesn't like the briefcase because that's the prop in play.
Oh, was that the actual? Though that's actually
the word we use is prop. Yeah.
Yeah, that could be either one. Let's say for the sake of conversation that he doesn't like the entirety, like the gimmick of it, right?
He does it merely out of obligation and expectation.
I kind of understand why, because look, it's like somebody says, "Hey, here is 90 blank pages. Write a movie script," because that's how it works, right?
Yeah.
here's 90 blank pages. Here's a movie script, and you get like halfway into it, and there's like one line: "This guy's got to be the new villain." You know, it's like you're basically obligated every year to either manufacture a new world title run or piss off everybody. You got to A, make sure you put it on the right person. B, if that person might have to win the world title, or C, piss off everybody with a failed cash in. Every year of your story, you have to jam this shit in there.
But it's not, I'll say this. There is a kind of a shoehorn type nature to it, I know, but it's like, it's in your schedule. You know it's there. You can plan for it in advance. Which is another reason Seth seems so glaringly obvious as the winner, because it fits into his narrative kind of perfectly. So, I mean,
I like Money in the Bank, but it's funny because like he's been able to. It's almost like he doesn't like the Royal Rumble either, because you're then forced. Because look at what they did with the Royal Rumble.
It seemed like it last year, yeah. It
was just a fucking mid card. It was just, they opened up. Jay and Gunther did.
Yeah. Now whoever wins the Money in the Bank this year, because I believe on commentary they mentioned that you can cash in on any title. So if you win Money in the Bank this year and someone cashes in on the Intercontinental Championship, then Triple H is like, I'm not a fan of this exercise of Money in the Bank.
Who was responsible for the Theory US failed title cash in?
I know that was the time when
Wasn't it like both at
he
the
was in
same
charge,
time?
but Vince was still overseeing
He
things.
was like faxing stuff in or something like that.
Yeah.
I can understand why he wouldn't want to do that as a guy who values the writing process so much that they've crafted a whole behind the scenes show about the writing process. I could see that being like, okay, I'm in the middle of telling this fucking story now, and somebody has to have a briefcase, and I'm going to get shit on because I don't want to interrupt this story, so I'm going to have a failed like they did with Drew. I'm going to have a failed cash in to advance his story, make him look like an even bigger asshole.
Yeah.
But they're going to shit on me. Everybody's, oh, it's a wasted opportunity and stuff, even though he's just telling his stories. I get why maybe somebody wouldn't like that, forced situation.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think next year Money in the Bank's not till after SummerSlam, if memory serves. Because they had to change the whole schedule because New Orleans is getting Mania, so New Orleans is getting Money in the Bank. And I thought I saw they're not doing Money in the Bank next year until August?
August? Isn't
August
SummerSlam
29th.
like... Oh, and SummerSlam is like what? Early? Well, it depends.
Yeah, it's
when
August
is...
1st and 2nd in Minneapolis next year.
And then when is Money in the Bank?
End of the month.
End of the month. End of August. Okay. Boy, that's going to be a long... Wait, I'm sorry, what you said SummerSlam is the beginning of the month of August?
Mm-hmm.
That's going to be a long-ass period between WrestleMania and SummerSlam. Talk about the
Bank
doldrums.
is one thing of excitement, one measure of excitement during the course of the spring post-Mania going into SummerSlam, I know.
The doldrums are going to be real next year.
Yeah, it's going to be a 2-month-long lull instead of just May.
The post-Mania slump is going to be massive.
Ooh. Well, maybe they got something else planned to generate some buzz and excitement post-Mania. I don't know what. Maybe they'll do the draft next year around then.
Yeah, maybe.
That's but a small blip in terms of generating excitement, though, because it happened. Everybody was like, well, that was underwhelming. That's what always happens.
Between Solo, LA Knight, Penta, and let's just for the sake of conversation, Andrade and AJ. Let's say AJ gets through somehow. Let's say Cross helps AJ.
Or just Seth costs Punk the match, and therefore AJ wins, yeah.
Here's the thing about AJ. If he won Money in the Bank,
He should have won 4 years ago, right?
He's been... yeah, they could make good on that. He's been... a world champion before. It's been 10 years.
Yeah, it's almost been 10 years. Yeah, it's 2016.
He's been world champion. People accept him. He, main evented against Cody. It was like his first thing that he did a year ago. And
he's just not that involved.
If they want to bump him up, you can do it just like that. And people would pop at it because everybody loves AJ.
Yeah.
So, yeah, dude, I don't know. I feel you, though, because at this point it's like, okay, it's just going to be Seth. If they want to really pop the crowd, Penta and LA Knight. I mean, if they want to pop the crowd, Punk also.
Yeah.
But it's yeah.
I was going to say, if AJ gets in the ladder match and wins it, he can do the thing where he cashes in just to get another shot at Cena.
Well, I was thinking the same thing about LA Knight. Yeah. Is that if they just need like a really popular face for Cena, LA Knight can win it and say, yeah, I'm going to cash in, but I'm going to call it in advance. I don't know. Do they have like a Philly show or something like they did at the ECW, try to recreate the RVD shit? They could do something like that, where he cashes in, because it's just, bottom line is the title shot. So if Triple H doesn't like it, he could just be like, okay, well, I'll just use it to justify an in advance title shot. And, we'll hype it up that way and maybe try to get people to think that LA Knight has a chance. So they could do that.
Yeah, they could do that. I mean, if Triple H doesn't like the mechanic of Money in the Bank and how it's used or has been used in WWE, he can just be like, well, I'm just going to use it to motivate title matches and not so much do the opportunistic thing all the time. Which...
You know what might make him feel better about Money in the Bank if he hates it right now? Give each Money in the Bank winner their own special Money in the Bank entrance. Because he loves entrances.
He does.
He loves them. So then he gets to choreograph a brand new entrance. And then he'll be about it again.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Because apparently he's not about it now. Or at least not about the briefcase. Maybe then he should come up with something else instead of briefcase that people could carry around with.
What would that be?
Inside.
Knowing Triple H. Oh, dude, this is easy. A Money in... A denim vest in the bank.
I thought you were going to use a sledgehammer for something.
That actually doesn't sound as cool as the denim vest. I thought about it when you said it. I was like, oh, sledgehammer, that's his thing. But no, a denim vest. Because he loved that
to be
denim
honest,
vest.
neither of them sound terribly cool, but...
Denim vests are super cool. I don't know what you're talking about, old man.
Where's your denim vest then? How come you never wear it? If
It's in my closet. It's heavy.
Oh, that's
It's heavy. I like to keep it light, man. These days, I'm rocking my winnings here.
Yeah.
My
Full
loot.
ensemble.
My ensemble. Look at it from 2011. Look at how faded this shirt is.
I know. It was just sitting in a dresser for 10 years.
I know. I washed it. It's great, man. This thing, it feels like $1 million. I might try to scan this thing and do like a variant on it.
Should, yeah.
Yeah. Let's talk about the women really quick. Naomi's going to win this thing, right?
She's got to win it.
She
That
should.
makes the most sense. Naomi winning makes the most sense.
Unlike the men, there's a bunch of people in the women's Money in the Bank right now who can win this thing.
And also, the last qualifier is happening tonight on Raw. It's Liv, it's Stephanie Vaquer, and Ivy Nile.
She ain't got a chance, but the other two do.
Yeah.
I mean, who comes out of Liv and Stephanie Vaquer?
Oh, I think Stephanie does because they're really pushing Roxanne's in the match, Julia's in the match, Stephanie's going to be in the match. I think they're really pushing, Roxanne, Julia, and Stephanie. So I'd be pretty surprised if Stephanie wasn't in the match.
Yeah, dude, I don't know. I legit don't know. I mean, this is one way I could see it go. To get Liv in the match. Liv took that loss last week. She wins because Raquel helps her trying to make good from last week. Or she loses because Raquel tries to help her and they forward that story. Mm-hmm. And Stephanie gets in. Or Stephanie doesn't get in and her first feud kind of is with Raquel and Liv, but mainly Raquel because she cost her. Something like that, just to get her started.
Well, you could kind of have your cake and eat it too, where Raquel accidentally costs Liv, Stephanie wins, and then Raquel and Liv try to get some measure of revenge against Stephanie, and that's how the feud kicks off.
They task Roxanne with keeping Stephanie from winning.
Could be.
Dude, any of those names, like maybe not Liv because she already had a run, but like Alexa, Roxanne, Rhea, Julia, Naomi. Are you kidding me? That's 5 people that could totally win the thing because you got Tiffany Stratton, that's a cash in right there.
Yeah.
And Io, for that matter, could be cashed in on.
Yeah, if
like,
Rhea wins, she could totally cash in on Io, yeah.
Rhea, Roxanne, I could see Roxanne cashing in on Io and then getting into a feud with Liv over it. Mm-hmm. Like, these are all Alexa. I don't even know what they're doing with Alexa right now, but I could see her winning that shit.
Probably, yeah, it seems like Alexa's feuding more with Charlotte than anybody else.
I guess so. But yeah, that's what the great thing about the women. I'm pulling big time for Naomi. Mm-hmm. God, her bit with Bianca on SmackDown was awesome.
It was.
It's
really
just
good.
it's so good. It's so good. But yeah, Naomi is just really awesome. And if they do a thing where Naomi cashes in on Tiffany and then they get the big 3 into a triple threat match at like SummerSlam or something, damn. That would be awesome.
It would be super cool.
There's a lot of cool shit you could do with that.
Yeah. Before we get into the segment by segment breakdown, let's in overview talk about the main event segment. Something, at least from my perspective, didn't necessarily hit.
Dude, I thought all of SmackDown was good until that hit. I was like, God, Cody, get on with it, buddy.
Yeah, he took like 8 minutes to introduce Jay.
What do I say, man? What do I say? Anytime somebody starts with a story or starts recapping shit that we already saw, you lose me.
Yeah.
You lose me. I was sitting at home and I was asked a friend, was I a good champion? I'm like, number one, Cody, sack up. Like, what are you asking people that for?
I know.
You look at your merch numbers. How about that? I'm pretty sure you're a good champion.
Look at your star ratings for your matches.
Look at your track record. You won a lot.
I mean, you held the title for a year.
For a whole year.
Solid champion, at least.
Right.
At the least.
4 more, you'd be in Backlund territory.
Yeah.
And so, he starts out with that shit.
Yeah.
And then he starts like talking, when I did this, when I did that. I'm like, I know.
No, here's the thing. If that's all prelude to something that matters or is huge or is a development, all right. That was all prelude to say, Jey Uso is here. Look, I like Jey. You could take a handful of sentences to introduce Jey Uso because the crowd wants him to get out there so they can start eating.
Yeah.
And then it just brings out Cena, and he just introduces Logan Paul. I don't want to hear Logan Paul talk. And that's what this segment was.
Yeah, it was all just set up for Logan Paul to talk.
Yeah,
Which,
all
like,
the hype up. Their Money in the Bank tag match, which is going to be the main event, even though it's the match with the least stakes involved.
Yeah, I know. I mean, dude, even take my bias or whatever you want to call it about Logan Paul and how I don't need to see him on my television. Decent promo enough from him. Like, I'm not going to shit on the guy's promo.
It was better than his recent efforts.
Yeah, he held his own in there. He looks like he belongs, and I can appreciate that. And him and Cena, I understand why this version of Cena would like Logan Paul. So, the match is not without its intrigue to a degree.
Yeah.
It's not without its drawing power to a degree. Given what we saw in this, immediately, Logan, when Cody and Jay is like, hey, let's step up, Logan was like, come on, let's get him. And Cena's like, And Logan puts some hands on Cena, and Cena, I thought that was a pretty good moment there between Cena and Logan Paul.
Yeah, it introduces some more interesting dynamic as opposed to just, hey, we're teaming up because we're bad guys.
Right. Yeah. So I didn't mind that too much. But yeah, it was a bit long-winded. Like, Cody was just taking forever, and then Logan took forever. Logan was talking forever.
Yeah.
So I don't know, man. It was what it was. It's nice to see Jay get to mix it up in the main event scene with that title. It does elevate that title, makes it seem a little bit bigger. I still think that in 7 days. Oh yeah, 7 days from today.
Yeah, 7 days from now.
Yeah.
Mr. Money in the Bank's going to cash in on him, though.
I feel like that's probably going to happen.
Yeah.
At least an attempt will be made by Seth Rollins.
Yeah.
I haven't even looked at the
CM
betting
Punk.
odds.
CM Punk, I don't know if he's going to cash in.
Speaking of cashing in, man, there was a cash-in attempt this past Friday on my predictions championship because Jerry in the Bank didn't want, this is during the coronation, didn't want my epic 2-month reign to proceed. And here's the thing, I'm adding value to the championship. Not only am I wearing the hat every day during my title run.
That Big Blue was but the World Heavyweight Championship, and now you're trying to make it the Undisputed Championship? Is that what you're saying?
Oh, yeah, it's undisputed.
I've had this hat right here ever since I won it.
Yeah, but mine's undisputed. That's the thing. Mine's undisputed.
Your hat doesn't say undisputed.
Nah, it's definitely undisputed. I'm wearing this shirt. I'm wearing this every day of my title reign, Larson. Every day. I ain't going to wash this thing.
This is going to fall apart by the end of the week. It's going to be like that Bad Company shirt I got for you for your birthday in like 2001. That last time I saw you have it on, it had more holes than a block of Swiss cheese.
Bro, I wore that thing until it was done. But of course, as we move on, now I got my eye on the prize.
Oh, you're actually doing the thing where you've tasted victory and you want another taste, as opposed to I had a taste, I'm satisfied. Because that's usually how you operate. You win something, you're like, I don't need to do it again. I don't even need to try.
Nah, not this time.
That's good. I like to hear that.
This is going to stay here. I made this thing, and I'm going to win this thing. Friendo in the Bank, the Money in the Bank predictions challenge for June. This is coming on. I don't need anybody cashing in on me. I don't need that business. So to make sure that I am able to ruin the Friendo in the Bank cash in, I'm going to win the Friendo in the Bank briefcase through predictions. If you want in on the June predictions challenge, just go ahead and click join right here, youtube.com/Stephen Larson, or go to patreon.com/Stephen Larson. Click on the Friendo Club setup there. Get access to our old bonus episodes and the question threads, and of course, access to the June predictions challenge. We got to sit down and figure out exactly which shows, because we've got a couple. We've got like Worlds Collide. We've got Money in the Bank.
Yeah, and then there's Night of Champions at the end of the month.
Night of Champions. So we got those three. So maybe we'll stick with those guys there. Yeah. I thought there was something else too, maybe not.
AEW doesn't have a pay-per-view in June, I don't believe.
This is an absolutely beautiful attaché case. Oh, and good. Also,
you got the hat show.
There's the hat. I don't have it here, but you can see that this is like my favorite aspect of it. This hat right here on the right side of the screen. It is beautiful. It is absolutely gorgeous. The yellow there, boy, oh boy, that's good stuff. They don't have Volt, and it looks like mustard here for the people watching at home, but it's a bright Volt. Got all sorts of filters on this thing. Anyways, predictions challenge. Anyways, let's go ahead and dive into it, man.
Let's do it. So let's start with the opening of the show, because it kind of involves the Money in the Bank aspect of SmackDown this week, where Bianca Belair returns home to Knoxville, Tennessee. So she makes her entrance, leads the crowd in a rendition of Rocky Top, and then says, "The city is special, not just because it's my hometown, because it's my safe space. I got the love and support of my family right here. I got all of y'all who show up and show out with me with everything I've been going through, losing my first Mania match, my injury, losing my friends. I just wanted to come back to my safe space." So she says, "I had to come back to Knoxville to heal. And while I'm not 100%, I am doing everything to get back in and continue to show on the EST of Tennessee and the EST of WWE." And so she welcomes Knoxville to SmackDown. This brings out Naomi. She says, "Finally, I'm so glad you're here." And Bianca says, "Not the time for this." And Naomi says, "Please, it's been way too long. Not a day has gone by when I don't think about what happened to us. I just want to talk." And Bianca asks, "What is there to talk about?" And Naomi says, "I just want your forgiveness. I'm begging for your forgiveness. I know our friendship was off the rails lately, but I'm here because I want to fix it, and I can fix it. But try to communicate for months. Let the past be the past. Let's move forward. I sent you text voicemails, never got back to me once. Even went to your parents' house to get a hold of you."
This is when this shit took a turn, man.
It did.
Because Bianca perked up. She's like, "Whoa, back up, what?" And then it gets crazier.
It does. So Naomi says, "And no one was there, unfortunately, so I let myself in. You know what I saw? I went through your photo album, the one on the coffee table, and those photos, you look so happy. It reminded me of how it was when we were tag champions."
Well, Bianca's beside herself at this point. She's like, she's trying to process that Naomi went into her parents' house when they weren't there.
Yeah. So Bianca says, "I'm going to make one thing perfectly clear. We were best friends. You betrayed my trust, threw our friend on the windshield of a car, then lied about it for months. I said I was done. I meant what I said. And if you ever come near my family again, what you did to Jade is nothing compared to what I'll do to you." So Naomi gets upset. Says, "You know, it wouldn't be good for you and your mama to both be in a wheelchair. I would hate for something bad to happen to you right here, right now."
You're so out of pocket.
It really is.
She says, she said, "It wouldn't be good for you or your mama to be in a wheelchair." Oh, that was good. So that brings out Jade. She comes out, lays into Naomi, kicks her down, looks at Bianca, and they have a bit of a stare off before she leaves, or before Bianca leaves. That brings out Nia Jax. Of course, they have a match for the qualifier. I thought the match was good. I thought sometimes, like, I'll always applaud people for being creative. Mm-hmm. In the case of LA Knight and Jacob Fatu, I applaud them for being creative. That spot, boy, that killed it for me. And it's kind of similar in this spot. They did some creative stuff that, like, kind of just, it's like, okay, you guys need to simple it down a little bit, you know? Mm-hmm. Because there was some stuff in this match I was like, oh, that was a bit on the awkward side, but at least they were trying some new stuff. They were trying some different stuff. But there was plenty of cool shit in here. Naomi gets the win here. So Nia headbutts Naomi towards the finish here. Jade pump kicks Nia down. Naomi hits a big boot to Jade as Naomi heads up top. Jade meets her up there for a superplex. Nia gets back up. We have a Tower of Doom spot. Nia drags both ladies on top of each other. She's going to stack them. Mm-hmm. Hits an Annihilator on Jade. Naomi moves. So Jade's out thanks to the Annihilator. And Naomi's able to pull Nia over her and roll her up for the pin to get the win there.
Yeah.
So yeah, I thought the match was fine. I thought maybe they were trying to get a little too creative with some of their stuff.
Yeah, I like the idea of the finish quite a bit.
Yeah, I thought the finish was actually the idea of the finish was really good. It took her a bit to get that pin, but it's like Nia's pretty big, so that's not surprising.
It makes sense.
But there were other aspects of the match that I was like, oh, that's kind of a cool idea.
Yeah.
You know.
So then later on, Byron's backstage with Tiffany. She's asked about who will win Money in the Bank. And she says, "I can't wait to see who wins. Then I'll handle the pressure by being prepared. Having this title makes me number one threat, but let's be honest, everyone has been obsessed with me, so whoever cashes in will be making a huge mistake." So Naomi walks up. Says, you thought Nia was a problem. You ain't seen nothing yet. I'm going to win and cash in for that title. And in case you forgot, Miss Tiffy, you stayed in my way. You want to know when people play with me? Just ask Jade. Want to know what happens when people play with me? Just ask Jade. And Alexa walks up and says, oh, don't worry about Naomi winning because I'm going to win.
Mm-hmm. So talking about the men's Money in the Bank stuff, we have Melo backstage warming up with The Miz. And we get Melo, boy, you know, Miz is hyping him up. Miz gave up his spot for Melo. And he said, follow the plan and we'll win. No mistakes out there. And he was like, I'll make sure we go on to become Mr. Money in the Bank to Melo. Melo says, hold on, we? Miz like, who do you think got you here? And Melo said, I did. He says, look, Mike, I appreciate everything. I appreciate you sacrificing yourself, helping me win. But no one told you to do that. I'm going to run the play tonight the way we wrote it. But my talent brought me to the dance. I put up 40 points on the board. I'm him. I just need to let you be me. He said, you good? And Miz is like, just through gritted teeth, like just sort of nodding. And so Melo's like, okay, cool. Come on, let's do that thing. Because we are Melo and Miz, and we are Oz. And Miz doesn't say a word. He just smiles through while Melo does it. So yeah, just bad news on that part. Julia also had a video package for Money in the Bank because she won hers.
Qualifier,
she said,
later on. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
And this was well done. She said, throughout my entire career, even in Japan, I had one goal, not to be the best. Everybody says that. It's hollow and empty. My goal is to be indisputable. Love me or hate me, admiration or disgust. It means nothing, but I'm impossible to deny. She says, my opponent doesn't matter because I only view them as a chance to build up my legacy. Smackdown, you'll see I'll hit harder, move faster, think sharper, and conquer everything like I've always done. Question isn't who's going to let me, but who's going to stop me. If you can stop it, then stop it. So later on backstage, Zelina Vega walks, Zelina Vega's backstage. Julia walks up. She says, I see you, Zelina, but I see that title more. She walks off. Julia stares at her. And we had the Money in the Bank qualifier, Andrade, Carmelo, and Jacob Fatu. As you would figure, this match was awesome. This triple threat was really great.
Good. You got three dudes. You put them in any match, the match is better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, this match was lots of fun. As we said earlier, Andrade came out of it the winner. So the finish sees Andrade hitting another spinning elbow. So both, like everybody's down. Jacob gets back up. And hits an impaler on Andrade. Throws Melo into the corner, hits a hip attack, hits another impaler on Andrade. He's looking for the moonsault. But then Solo does hit the moonsault, and then Solo gets on the apron and is like, yeah, now do it again. Do it a second time. And Fatu was like, what the hell are you talking about? And then JC starts giving instructions too. Yeah, hit it again. Jacob doesn't like that. So Jimmy Uso comes to ringside, grabs JC off the apron, hits the super kick. And all that distraction allows Andrade to hit the message on Melo and to get the win.
Yeah, that Solo JC stuff was hilarious. Come on, hit it again. Hit it again. Do what he says. Hit it again.
So then afterwards, Jacob Fatu, he's not happy. He's just staring at Solo and yelling at him. Who the hell do you think you are? More on that in a bit. But first, we get an LA Knight interview backstage. And he says, what is it with punching tickets here? I guess I punched my ticket. It's only 8 days away. Who else have you got? Andrade, Penta, Seth, what's the names? Rollins, Solo. I'll punch their ticket, ready to climb the ladder. If this was one-on-one, I'd call my shot. It's my third year in a row in this match. We're talking about the most robust and recent experience. I'm the veteran. With or without the case, what you need to understand, the WWE title, world title, they're all on my future. But the way I'm running, it should be in my past or my present. Well, he gets interrupted by Alistair. And he just says to LA Knight, that win was partially mine. You're welcome, though.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's like Alistair is to LA Knight winning Money in the Bank that I am to you winning predictions.
Yeah, pretty much. You know, you believe that your belief in me and our discussion about what's going to happen at Saturday Night's Main Event, the boring thing or the exciting thing, and I went with the boring thing every single time.
Yeah, it took you to the top.
So go ahead and say it. You're welcome, Larson.
You're welcome.
There you go.
So you're welcome, Larson.
We should mention this also. So before the triple threat, there was a backstage with the Bloodline guys. And it involved R-Truth. So backstage, you have Solo, Jacob, and JC. They're just showing up. They bump into Truth backstage. Who's talking?
I got it later on here. Later on, we talk.
No, I know. I'm reading that right now, but just to set up the later, like the backstage stuff with Jacob after the match.
Gotcha.
He's talking a little Jimmy. Solo says, look at him. Childhood hero beats him. Now he's talking a little ghost. And Truth says, something you want to say to me? JC gets in his face as Solo holds him back. Solo's immediately just trying not to laugh. Truth says to JC, he says, I've never seen you a day in my life. Is this your son, dog? He's husky. He said, mind if I take your husky son to the ring and teach him a lesson? I'm going to go talk to Nick Aldis. Y'all are big boned. And then Jacob says, so Solo gives him a little pep talk, and Jacob says, let's keep it 100. I got my own things to take care of. You deal with your stuff. Yeah, I don't know what I mean. And I'm like, you know what, Jacob? Just for once, just for one time, can you just be like, yeah, Solo, that's cool. You know, but every time, dude, if you and I were hanging out all the time, like in real life, we do, I guess, 3 times a week playing basketball. Yeah. But if every time I showed up at basketball and I'm like, hey, man, you ready to play? Let's do a couple games of 21. And you just look at me all surly and say, let's keep it 100. I'm like, oh, here we go again. Here we go again. Always got to keep it 100.
I mean, what you're describing is pretty much what happens every week.
And I'm tired of it, Larson.
Surly.
I'm sick of you showing up, being surly, saying we're going to keep it 100.
Wasn't that just equivalent to you saying, I'm going to be honest with you? You know?
Not the way Jacob does it. It's always so grumpy. My goodness. And it's not just, here's the thing. It's not just that you're always grumpy. You're never grumpy at me. Jacob's always grumpy at Solo.
For good reason.
Why? Come on. Why? This is before the match.
Matches. He's always meddling in his business.
Solo's hilarious. Well, then get away. You know what, Jacob? At a certain point,
you know what it is. It's like when I have a rough patch hitting my free throws, and you were like, "Oh, just do it like I do it." That's like Solo getting involved in Jacob's business. That's what it is.
Okay, I understand.
All right.
I understand now. Oh, man. So anyways, after the match, Jacob's backstage throwing a tantrum. He was like, I'm tired of this. And Solo catches up. He's like, Jacob, listen, I was just trying to help. Fatu says, for the last time, I do not need your help. Then stop hanging out with them. At a certain point, just got to stop hanging out with them.
Yeah, I think that's coming up pretty soon here.
I think that's coming up pretty soon, isn't it? Yeah.
That's coming up pretty soon. All right, we're not going to go verbatim for this whole Cena, Cody, Logan Paul, Jay thing.
Yeah, I'll be honest. We pretty much covered everything we need to cover.
Yeah, virtually is Cody takes 10 minutes to introduce Jay, recaps a bunch of what happened between Mania, from Mania. Actually, before that, he asked the question, was I a good champion? Probably asked DDP.
Mm-hmm.
Dallas.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, probably Dallas. Yeah, huh?
Yeah, was I a good champion? And DDP probably just went bang.
Oh, let me tell you something there, Cody. Hey, Code.
So then Jay comes to the ring. Everybody's eating. Cena interrupts.
Calls them wannabes.
Yeah, he calls
You're
them wannabes.
John Cena wannabe.
Introduces the one other human being that embodies hustle, loyalty, respect. That's Logan Paul. And then Logan Paul just talks a bunch of crap. Says he should be champion after Saturday night's main event, but you needed Cody to save you. He says, I never believed I'd be tagging with the GOAT. Calls himself the superstar in WWE. So he tells Jay and Cody, if you want some, come get some. And Jay's like, we don't got to wait till Money in the Bank. We can handle it now. So Logan's ready to throw hands, and Cena stops him. And then Cody says to him, what are you arguing about? How about you're going to go back there and polish his peacemaker?
Yeah.
So then brawl starts. Logan gets taken out. Cena eats a super kick, disaster kick. Faces clear the ring, and Cody picks up the title. Raises it. Jay has his. 2 champions.
Cody, it's not your title anymore, man.
Nope.
Another title. Damian Priest wants the U.S. title. It's going back down to a realistic title for him. Even though
at least while on SmackDown, yeah.
Jacob Fatu's got that thing. I don't think it's going to happen. So, anyways, He says, Tennessee. Ever since I beat Drew, it's like I'm breathing in fresh air. When I lived on the streets, When I was street trash, we were beefing with another street. That war could go on for years. What? Okay, Damien. He says, in WWE, if you have a beef, you have a match, and it's over. He says, Drew and I went over a year, and that's not normal. We went into that cage, and I could feel it. You could see it on my face. We went to war. At the end of Saturday night's main event, I gave him a concerto, walked out, put his ass in the past. I know he's recovering somewhere, but I know he's watching. And then he sort of gives him some respect. He's like, the Drew that showed up, he was a good Drew. Sorry. My Damien impression's terrible. He said, the war cost me a chance of being Money in the Bank, but I got my eyes on a certain champion, someone I have unfinished business with, and the most badass champion now. Y'all know who, Jacob Fatu. Crowd's thinking like, he's way cooler than you are, Damien, so I don't know if this is where you want to go. Anyways, he says that he's proud of Jacob Fatu. He says, but what I don't respect is the crew following you. Check that. The crew you follow around. At some point, we're going to get in here and handle business, and if they want to get involved, they can catch a fresh one, too. I don't want it to be a nickname, a moniker, but it's a fact. Damian Priest will always be El Campeon. And if I can't beat Jacob, maybe I'll go to NXT. If I can't beat them, maybe I'll go down to Evolve. I need a title. Got to do it.
Maybe if he goes back to Evolve, he'll be Party Vampire again.
Sean Legacy, I'm coming for you. I don't know who the champion is there. Is it Sean Legacy?
Sure.
I haven't watched a single episode of Evolve.
Nor have I. There's too much wrestling.
It's too much wrestling.
Especially during NBA playoff season, it's too much. I got to watch my games.
Dude, we got to wait till Thursday for game 1.
Oh, my gosh.
I know. It's so long. What am I supposed to do tonight? Well, I've been doing my Andor rewatch.
Have you started season 2 yet?
Nope, not yet. He went to the prison last night. And so I think he's only in there for an episode and they break out, which is a great episode.
No, it's more than that. There's a couple episodes.
Oh, is it?
There's
okay.
At least 2. Yeah, there's several episodes.
All right.
Because they take forever to plan the escape.
Right now, the dude, the loser guy, got the desk job, and the girl pulled him out. The lady pulled him out. Oh, and they're doing they're about to do the torture thing to what's her face. Oh, that's the worst.
Yeah, that is bad.
That's horrible.
Bix.
Yeah.
So anyways, as Priest is leaving, he cross paths with Jacob because Jacob's making his way out for his qualifying match. Talk the women's U.S. title, all is backstage. And Chelsea, she's got the face mask on because she broke her nose, but then she's holding up, I don't know what you call those things, but it's a picture of her face on like a stick.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
And she's trying to talk, and he's like, I can't hear you. And so he takes, she has another one there, she puts it up. And eventually Aldous says Chelsea says this was a deliberate attack. It was a hit job by crooked Zelina. I demand you strip her of the title, suspend her, and give me the championship. And Aldous says, you don't need to get ugly over this. There's no stripping of titles or a suspension, but you aren't medically cleared, so you need to wait. And then Chelsea's like, well, why don't I know? How about Alba takes on Zelina? And Aldous says, all right, it's happening. That match, in fact, does happen. Zelina Vega gets the win. We almost had a run-in where Alba almost runs into Chelsea on the apron. And then Alba turns around, eats a code red, so Zelina gets the W.
The comedy of Chelsea Green's mangled face. You have to love the performer taking advantage of that, as opposed to, let me, stay off TV till I can get dolled up again.
Yeah.
She's a magnificent comedian. Just an absolutely magnificent performer.
And there is that spot in the match where she takes her face mask off and is about to hit Zelina with it.
Yeah.
And, of course, Zelina evades. It's really good stuff.
Yeah, she's so good.
You mentioned the interaction between R-Truth and Bad Bloodline backstage. That leads to a match between JC Mateo and R-Truth. No surprise here. JC wins with Tour of the Islands. Pretty short match.
Yeah.
And then afterwards, JC's attacking Truth.
Dude.
What?
Yeah, sorry. Go ahead. I skipped ahead here.
Hold your enthusiasm for a moment. Try to be completionist here.
So excited. Go ahead.
Solo's looking for a spike on Truth. Jim Uso hits the ring with the chair to defend them off. All right, Steve, go ahead.
We got to see the Los Garza's finisher, Larson. I popped when I saw, I was like, oh, Ray Phoenix and Javon Evans. Ethan Page is out there? Oh, Los Garza's kind of need a win right now to further their story. We might see the finisher, but I don't want to get my hopes up. Match happens. Of course, Ethan Page is out there, North American champion, because they got the Worlds Collide match coming up. Sure enough, he gets involved. Javon Evans eats the Los Garza's finisher. Not quite as gnarly as the only other time we've ever seen it, when Elton Prince took it, or whatever his name is. But, oh, man, I was on cloud nine, Larson. Cloud nine, I tell you.
I imagine you were quite ecstatic about that. You texted me.
I did.
You texted me that it happened.
I did. I'm going to do the little thing here in the notes. MOTY 2025.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, that's good. That's in the notes now, because that's whenever at the end of the year, we go back, we look at the best matches of the year, just for the fact that in 2025, we got to see the Los Garza's finisher. God, it's June already. That's crazy.
I know.
This is up there for match of the year for me.
All right. Well, on your personal list, you can include it. We had a segment with basically the entirety of the tag division that leads to the Wyatt Six laying everybody out again. So the Street Profits come to the ring to drop a promo. They declare that this tag division is the greatest tag division on any brand, any promotion. It's on fire right now.
Do you agree with that?
Well, I mean, it's in better situation than the Raw tag division.
Isn't it like sort of nobody has a good tag division, so this kind of is? Like, if you look at the talent, here's the thing. You don't get these guys in the ring to do a promo. That's a terrible, terrible idea. Because, like, half of the teams are just like, hey, you guys are awesome wrestlers, but, like, I don't need to hear you talk. But, yeah, comparatively speaking, like, AEW's tag division is kind of a mess.
Yeah, it's not in great shape. Raw's isn't either. NXT's was, but then Frack's team got called up.
Right, they went to Smackdown. In terms of sheer talent, this might be the best division in the world. It might. I don't know what New Japan's is like. Who's the tag champions in New Japan right now?
I mean, it could be Goto could be a double champion right now with Yoshihashi again. I don't know.
List. Let's see here. Right now, it is.
Did the Good Brothers win the tag titles?
The Devil. No, it is. The United Empire, Callum Newman and Great-O-Khan.
All right.
They won it in February from actually JC Mateo and Callum Newman.
That's right.
Won it in April from Los Ingobernables de Japón.
So anyways, Ford continued to says, we got all these teams, DIY, Motor City Machine Guns, Fraxium, and now the Wyatts. Doesn't matter who, will gladly defend against everybody. So Fraxium comes out, and Frazier says, since you're out here talking about defending them, says, me and Axiom didn't get a fair shot last week. And Ford says, yeah, the Wyatts got in our business, but we had you beat. Axiom's like, well, maybe you did, maybe you didn't, but thanks to the Wyatts, we'll never know. Motor City Machine Guns come out and says, well, if you're handing out title shots, we get one because you never beat us. DIY comes out with Candace. And Candace says, nope, pretty sure you losers had a million chances. And you nerds just got here. And John says, the reason we brought in my wife is to even the odds against whatever this is. There's conspiracy to hold down the best tag team in the world. And then Ciampa says, y'all have killed the tag division that we built. Let's hold a moment of silence for the tag division. And so lights go out. Wyatt Six appears. They lay out everybody. And then afterwards, later on, we get those little VHS promos from Bo Dallas. And he just says, we won't stop, not until we get what's owed.
Yeah, what do you think is owed?
Tag titles, evidently.
Seems like it's a weird place for the Wyatts to be.
I know. It seems like they're kind of dropping the whole idea of what the Wyatt Six was supposed to be about, and now they're just performers with a cool entrance.
We
and
had
a good presentation.
High hopes. All right. Would you like to answer some questions? I asked at least the people on YouTube, anyways.
Yeah, I noticed there was one on Patreon.
Because there was a. Oh, I just did the Patreon one. There's questions there. But I asked specifically the ones on YouTube, and I meant to do this on Patreon too. For a reason I didn't, so I just did question thread there. If there was any other news stuff that people wanted us to talk about, because it was a pretty packed weekend, but it doesn't look like we missed anything. So we will start here. Jay Smooth wants to know, what finishing move is your Larson's equivalent to my Los Garza tag finishers, or something that you pop big for, rarely used?
I know there is. I'm trying to think what it is, though.
I think there is. But I don't think it's in WWE. Isn't there like a... Well, maybe the equivalent for you would be anytime Pagano and Chessman interact in
Could be.
AAA.
Could be. The closest thing is probably a Kevin Owens package pile driver.
Oh, okay. Yeah. There you go. Yeah. Or, for the longest time, it was the Brainbuster on the top.
That's what it is. Brainbuster on the top turnbuckle. Yeah.
Yeah.
But now Kyle Fletcher does that on a somewhat regular basis.
Yeah, he does that on a regular basis. You hear he got some heat, apparently, from the Adam Cole powerbomb bit?
No.
You see, because you remember their match.
Yeah.
He tried to powerbomb on the apron, missed, and basically Cole, like, his back of his head just smacked the corner there.
Yeah.
Apparently, he got some heat. Ignacio says, you ever seen a film that you thought was good but never saw it again because it was too gruesome to sit through again? He says, my son says the film Prisoners, which I don't think I've seen.
Isn't that the one with Jake Gyllenhaal playing two roles? Or am I confusing that with another one?
You might be right about that, because I thought it was a Gyllenhaal movie too.
Oh, it's the one with Gyllenhaal and Hugh Jackman.
I thought I saw that one, but maybe not.
Yeah, I thought you did too. I kind of remember you talking about it. Not because it's gruesome, but because it's like an emotional gut punch. Raging Bull. Great movie.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen it maybe twice. I don't really know if I want to see it again just because, gosh, it's a tough movie to get through.
I know that I have. I know that there is a movie out there. Oh. It's Irreversible. I can't watch that shit again.
Yeah.
I cannot watch that shit again. It's a brilliant movie, but good Lord. I saw on social media the other day, there's like a footage of people's reactions at like the premiere of it, or like the film festival premiere, debut, something like that. And people were just up in arms about it. They're like, that's disgusting.
Mm-hmm. Matt Linder here says, do you think Truth's opportunity to face Cena at Saturday Night's main event was a parting gift, kind of a thank you for everything?
I mean, you'd ideally clue somebody in if that's the case.
Yeah, Truth didn't seem to be clued in whatsoever about it. All right, Two Joints with Dave says, we all know about your guys' grunge preferences and some hip-hop, but what about a band you like from the in-between years before nu metal? For example, bands like The Offspring or Incubus.
You know what? I liked Offspring stuff that wasn't gimmicky. You know, like there was a couple tracks off the... They did an album in between the first one that was kind of goofy. You know, I forget what like their first hit was, but it was sort of a funnier song. And they tried to get serious, and I was like, oh, I kind of like that stuff. I wasn't like huge into it, but I kind of liked it. Mm-hmm. And then they went back to being funny because I think that paid the bills.
Yeah, it did better for them.
Yeah.
I never really got into The Offspring.
Yeah. So wait, in between grunge and what? Nu metal?
No, I think that's in between grunge and nu metal.
I don't know. After grunge...
Well, I guess probably for me, the band I got most into post-grunge was Radiohead.
Yeah, I was about to say that too. It was Radiohead. I was really into My Morning Jacket starting in, 2002, I guess? Mm-hmm. But then they had, 3 good albums, and then it started sucking also.
They just had one come out recently.
I know, bro. I tried. I don't even know what the deal is. I just can't. Let's see here. Gorman says, what would you have Cody do at SummerSlam if it isn't Cena? He says, I'm hoping it's Punk versus Cena.
What could Cody do? We've had Cody versus Logan Paul already, haven't we? Did we have that match?
Yeah.
All right. So now I could do that.
Yeah, it was when Logan was a U.S. champion. I think it was a Saudi show. Cody versus at SummerSlam.
I don't know.
If he doesn't have the title, he's not going to mix it up with Seth and his group. Gee whiz. We've already seen Cody versus Gunther. Have Gunther get his win back over Cody.
There we go.
There you go.
Great answer.
For you. No one's for you.
Sebastian Garcia says, "When do you think was the very beginning of the downturn WWE is currently on?"
What? What downturn's that?
It's when The Rock asked for Cody's soul.
I don't think they're on a downturn, man. Like, hey, if you can sell $40,000 seats, if you can sell those, then I think you're doing okay. If you want to talk about like, I mean, it's silly to say they're in a downturn because the business is really good. And for the most part, the programming, like this, the shows are pretty good. They haven't been without their public relations snafus here and there.
Oh yeah.
You know, I mean, you can point to, hey, when did they start overtly selling out? You know, like making it so obvious that it's just a big cash grab. But it's always been, you can't be naive. Like, it's always been a cash grab.
Yeah, it just depends on how upfront they are about it.
Which
these days is pretty darn upfront.
Yeah, I mean, you know, if you want to say when they started adding ads to the ring, when they started adding, you know, maybe the Prime integration, because then you had dudes in Prime bottles showing up. Maybe that, and that was the first ad to run on the ring, in the ring.
They just did
a
new deal with the Slim Jim.
Okay, yeah.
That I think
Slim Jim's got that legacy thing. I don't think people care about that, though.
Yeah, I don't think so either. But I think that involved the ring mat placement.
Yeah, so I don't know, man. I guess, you know, for me, it was maybe when they showed the Morgan & Morgan guy with the electric powers, which I'm still confused about.
Me too. Me too.
Is he like a WWE character that's on showing up? Is he an Evolve?
Maybe. But like, they don't do a whole lot of supernatural gimmicks these days. So what's the deal with the eyes? With like the energy, the plasma.
Yeah.
From the eyes.
It's like Palpatine.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, you could. I've seen people point to like the Netflix debut as like, you know, because I mentioned it earlier in the show, them just in the room. Oh, thanks, Netflix executives. You're so great. You can point to that as maybe like, all right, man, are we going to start giving the fans something to enjoy instead of people just congratulating Netflix?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Let's see. Chief the Original here says, "Where do you see Truth going?" I mean, he had a pretty successful run in TNA prior to 2008.
He was the NWA champion.
Yeah, two-time NWA champion, I believe.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, like that I would think that might depend on, does he have some ill will towards WWE for doing this? If he views them as being ruthless, I don't know if he's like, fuck those guys. I don't know that he would join a company that's got a partnership with WWE.
Yeah.
I know that he's not obviously something that AEW would feature as like a main thing, but given that he's got so much goodwill in the wrestling business, bringing him in a similar role, I mean, segments with him and Harley Cameron. You know what I mean? Like another comedic character.
Imagine Truth and Orange Cassidy.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I think there's not everybody has to be, oh, it's the next Will Ospreay. It's another Speedball. Not everybody's got to be a 20-minute 5-star match guy if you want to add, like I said, some flavor to your product. So, you know, I could see him popping up there, maybe.
Yeah.
He's obviously made a shit ton of money. Maybe he'll start a podcast. I don't know. I'm sure he's got tons of stories.
Oh, yeah.
Let's see here. Carlos Diaz, we'll end on this grunge question. Says, does the Timbaland record tarnish the legacy of Chris Cornell as the greatest frontman of the 90s, 2000s? I don't think anything Chris Cornell did on that record. I was not a fan of it. I listened to it like once and I was like, all right, well, he's trying something different, but nothing will tarnish. Like, look, man, there were 4 terrific frontmen. Chris Cornell, in my opinion, he had the best voice, like pure voice of them all. You listen to his version of the Ave Maria, and it's like, oh my God, that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
So no, I don't think his attempt to branch out and to expand his horizons will tarnish anything. And to me, it kind of enhances. Like, hey, the dude went out and tried to do some different stuff.
I actually never really listened to it, so
I think I might have listened to like 1 or 2 tracks. I was like, this ain't for me, but good for him.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll listen to it later on today.
There we go. Hey, bring a boombox out and we hoop later today, and we'll just blast that.
I'll bring this guy with me, and we'll blast some Ave Maria from Chris Cornell.
Some Chris Cornell solo record produced by Timbaland.
Yeah, there you go. Some dance tracks from Chris Cornell.
There we go.
Double C. Anyways, that's going to do it for the show today. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. Tomorrow we'll be bringing you our live Raw review. Till next time, we'll see you guys around.
Goodbye.